Angel Reese was older, I would have gotten on her about what she just said. Because I would have been like, how naive can you be?
But Alexander, LeBron James's personal trainer, with one clear mission in mind: dethrone Caitlin Clark. Now, before you dismiss this as just another off-season headline, let's be clear about what we're actually witnessing here. This isn't about hating on ambition. This is about understanding the massive gap between wanting to be the best and actually having what it takes to get there. Because here's what nobody's saying out loud. Reese's bold declaration might have just exposed the one thing she's been trying to hide all season long. Many of you have been connecting these dots for weeks now, and you're absolutely right to be skeptical. The timing of this announcement, the choice of trainer, the media rollout, it all feels like someone's trying to manufacture a rivalry that the scoreboard simply doesn't support. And if you believe the story behind the story matters more than the headlines, smash that like button right now. It tells us we're on the right track, and trust me, what we're about to uncover goes way deeper than just training camps and social media posts. Let's start with what actually happened. Angel Reese didn't just hire a new trainer, she went straight to the top and secured David Alexander, the same performance coach who's been instrumental in keeping LeBron James at an elite level for over 2 decades. On paper, this looks incredible. Who wouldn't want to train with someone who's helped maintain one of basketball's greatest careers? The announcement sent shockwaves through WNBA circles, with Reese's supporters celebrating this as proof she's serious about leveling up. But here's where things get interesting, and this is what the mainstream coverage is completely missing. Training with David Alexander isn't going to magically transform fundamental skill gaps. And that's not an insult. That's just reality. Alexander specializes in movement efficiency, injury prevention, and maximizing athletic longevity. Those are incredible assets for maintaining a career at the highest level. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Reese isn't trying to maintain an elite career. She's trying to build one from scratch while competing against someone who's already redefined what elite looks like in women's basketball. The numbers tell a story that no amount of elite training can rewrite overnight. Caitlin Clark entered the WNBA and immediately averaged 19.2 points per game as a rookie. Angel Reese, 13.6 points per game. That's not a minor gap. That's nearly 6 points separating them every single night. And it gets more revealing when you look at playmaking. Clark led all rookies with 8.4 assists per game, orchestrating offense at a level we haven't seen from a first-year player in WNBA history. Reese's assist numbers barely registered on the statistical radar. But let's dig deeper, because this is where the David Alexander training angle becomes both fascinating and potentially problematic. Sources close to the situation suggest Reese's camp specifically sought out Alexander because of his work on general movement patterns and biomechanics. Reading between the lines here, that tells us something crucial. They're not focused on skill development. They're focused on athletic optimization. And while that's valuable, it completely misses the point of what separates Caitlin Clark from everyone else. Clark isn't dominating because of superior movement patterns. She's dominating because of basketball IQ, court vision, and a shooting range that forces defenses to make impossible choices. You can optimize Angel Reese's movement efficiency all day long, but that's not going to teach her to see passing lanes 3 seconds before they open up. It's not going to give her the ability to shoot from 30 feet with defenders draped all over her. And it's definitely not going to grant her the kind of gravitational pull that Clark has, where her mere presence on the court warps defensive schemes. Here's what really happened at LSU that everyone keeps conveniently forgetting. Reese had an incredible college career, absolutely. That 2023 championship run was impressive. But even in that championship game, who was the best player on the floor? Let's be honest about this. Caitlin Clark put up 30 points in that game while Reese was busy with theatrics, waving off defenders with that "you can't see me" gesture. LSU won the game, Yes, but Clark was still the most dominant force out there. Reese's team won. Clark's individual performance was transcendent.
We've ever lost in our life. I only lost 7 games in my last 2 years at LSU. So it's been hard for me, but adjusting and just kind of have that mindset of just moving on has been something I try to give myself a little bit of grace.
And Reese herself admitted the transition was brutal. She only lost 7 games in her final 2 years at LSU. She was used to winning, used to dominance, used to being the big fish. Then she hits the WNBA, where the competition is relentless, where every team has multiple all-stars, where your college reputation means absolutely nothing. The transition exposed something critical. The system at LSU was perfectly designed to maximize Reese's strengths while hiding her weaknesses. The WNBA doesn't give you that luxury. Now she's trying to give herself grace, trying to adjust her mindset, trying to move forward, and that's commendable. It really is. Personal growth matters. But here's the question nobody's asking. Is hiring LeBron's trainer actually about improving her game, or is it about managing the narrative? Because let's look at what happened immediately after this announcement. Suddenly, every sports outlet is running stories about Reese's commitment to excellence, her dedication to improvement, her unwillingness to accept second place. The conversation shifted from her disappointing rookie season to her ambitious off-season plans. That's masterful public relations. But you know what it's not? It's not actual on-court improvement. Not yet, anyway. And this is where we need to talk about the elephant in the room. The unrivaled league starting in January 2025. This new 3-on-3 league is bringing together 34 of the world's top players, and Reese just secured a $250,000 contract for an 8-week season. That's massive money compared to her $81,000 WNBA base salary, and honestly, good for her. Every player deserves to maximize their earning potential. But here's what's terrifying for Reese's camp, and you can bet they're losing sleep over this right now. The unrivaled league is going to put her directly up against elite international competition in a 3-on-3 format where there's nowhere to hide. You can't rely on team systems or defensive schemes to mask individual limitations. It's pure basketball skill on display. And if Reese shows up without significant improvement, this league won't just expose the gap between her and Caitlin Clark. It'll expose it in high definition for the entire basketball world to witness. And this brings us to a question that needs to be asked right now. Drop your honest thoughts in the comments. Do you think elite training alone can close the gap between good and generational? Because that's really what we're debating here. Reese is betting her entire trajectory on the idea that better movement patterns and biomechanics will somehow vault her past a player who's already operating at a level the WNBA has never seen before. Your perspective matters, so let us know what you think. Let's talk about the Rookie of the Year conversation, because this is where things get really uncomfortable for the Reese camp. When the season started, there was genuine debate about who would take home the hardware. By the time voting happened, it wasn't even close. Caitlin Clark won decisively, and Reese had to settle for being a finalist, which sounds impressive until you realize that in a weak rookie class, being a finalist essentially means you showed up. But here's what's fascinating about Reese's response to all of this. In interviews, she framed her 7th overall draft position as taking pressure off her expectations. She said the pressure wasn't on her because she wasn't a top pick. Then, as the season progressed and she started getting mentioned in Rookie of the Year conversations, suddenly it became about her just killing it. There's a disconnect there that's worth examining. You can't simultaneously claim you had no pressure because of your draft position and then celebrate getting Rookie of the Year consideration as validation of your dominance. The reality is this: Reese had a solid rookie season by most standards. Double-doubles, rebounding prowess, consistent effort. Those are valuable contributions. But solid was never going to compete with transcendent. And Clark's rookie campaign was nothing short of transcendent. She didn't just win Rookie of the Year, she changed how teams had to defend the pick and roll, how broadcasters talked about assists, how young players approached shooting development. That's generational impact, not just good statistics. Now let's address the off-court noise, because this is where Reese's focus becomes questionable. She secured a signature shoe deal with Reebok, which generated massive headlines and social media buzz. Again, securing endorsements is smart business, and every player should maximize those opportunities. But here's what the optics reveal. While Caitlin Clark is grinding through film sessions and working on her mid-range game, Reese's social media presence is dominated by lifestyle content, fashion posts, and brand partnerships. There's nothing inherently wrong with that. Athletes are allowed to have lives and pursue opportunities outside of basketball. But when you're publicly declaring your intention to dethrone the league's best player, the contrast becomes stark. Clark's Instagram shows workout footage and team bonding. Reese's shows photo shoots and sponsor activations. One player is living basketball, the other is building a brand around basketball. Those are fundamentally different approaches, and they produce fundamentally different results. Then there's the salary conversation, which Reese brought into the spotlight by publicly discussing her $73,139 WNBA base salary and how expensive life has become. Look, WNBA salary structures are absolutely a legitimate issue that deserves serious discussion. Players are underpaid relative to the revenue they generate, and advocating for better compensation is important. But here's where Reese's execution fell flat. Complaining about your salary while posting luxury lifestyle content creates a messaging problem that undermines the legitimate points you're trying to make. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark is quietly handling her business, focusing on basketball and letting her performance do the talking. She's not out here discussing budgets or cost of living. She's putting together highlight reels that break the internet and contract negotiations that reflect her actual market value. That's the difference between someone who's building a career on substance versus someone who's trying to manufacture relevance through controversy. But let's get back to David Alexander and this training partnership, because there's a deeper layer here that connects everything we've been discussing. Multiple sources are whispering about the real reason Reese sought out Alexander specifically. It wasn't just about improving her game. It was about associating herself with excellence by proximity. Training with LeBron's guy immediately elevates your perceived commitment level, even if the actual results haven't materialized yet. And that's the pattern we keep seeing with Reese's approach. The championship game gesture wasn't about dominance. It was about creating a viral moment. The social media presence isn't about documenting improvement. It's about maintaining relevance. The trainer announcement isn't about skill development. It's about narrative management. Everything is calculated for maximum attention rather than maximum growth. Here's what nobody's saying, but everyone's thinking. The unrivaled league is going to be Reese's moment of truth. She can't hide behind college success anymore. She can't point to one championship as proof of superiority. She can't rely on social media engagement as evidence of basketball dominance. When she steps on that court in January against elite international competition in a 3-on-3 format, we're going to see exactly where she stands. And if the David Alexander training hasn't produced tangible results, that gap between her and players like Caitlin Clark is going to be exposed in ways that no amount of PR spin can cover up. The real question isn't whether Angel Reese can improve. Of course she can. Every player can get better with proper training and dedication. The question is whether improvement at her current trajectory can possibly catch up to someone who's already lapped the field multiple times. Clark isn't standing still. She's getting better too. Working with elite coaching, studying film, refining her already devastating skill set. So Reese isn't just trying to close a gap. She's trying to close a gap that's actively widening. And this is where ambition meets reality in the harshest possible way. Wanting to be the best is admirable. Declaring you're going to dethrone the best without demonstrating the skills to back it up is setting yourself up for public failure. The basketball world is watching this unfold in real time, and the verdict is already coming in. Training with David Alexander might help Angel Reese extend her career, maximize her athletic potential, and reduce injury risk. Those are all valuable outcomes, but none of them are going to put her on Caitlin Clark's level, because that's not a physical gap, it's a talent gap. And talent gaps don't close through biomechanics optimization. If you found this investigation valuable, make sure you're subscribed with notifications turned on. We're tracking the unrivaled league launch closely, and when Reese steps on that court in January, we'll be breaking down exactly what happens when ambition collides with reality. The next chapter of this story is going to be fascinating, and you're not going to want to miss our analysis of what it all means for the future of the WNBA hierarchy. The basketball world loves a good underdog story. Everyone wants to see someone rise from 7th overall pick to league domination. But you know what the basketball world loves even more? Authenticity. And right now, Angel Reese's journey feels more like brand management than genuine basketball evolution. Maybe the David Alexander partnership changes that. Maybe the unrivaled league reveals hidden dimensions to her game that the WNBA hasn't showcased yet. Maybe all the critics, including us, end up eating our words when she proves everyone wrong. But until that happens, until we see actual on-court evidence of growth that matches the off-court hype, this story remains what it's always been, a cautionary tale about the difference between wanting greatness and earning it. Caitlin Clark earned her status by rewriting record books and forcing the entire league to adjust to her presence. Angel Reese is trying to claim that status by association, announcement, and ambition. One of those approaches has already proven successful. The other is about to face its biggest test yet. The game always reveals the truth, and in January, when that 3-on-3 action tips off, we're all going to see exactly where Angel Reese really stands. Not where she wants to stand, not where her PR team says she stands, but where her actual basketball ability places her in the hierarchy of elite players. That's the moment this entire narrative has been building toward, and no amount of training with LeBron's coach is going to change what her hands, feet, and basketball IQ can actually execute on the court. Reality is coming, and it doesn't care about your trainer's resume.